Okay, so I'm going to go through a single dwelling calculation. So this would be in your first code module. This is an example right out of Blackboard. So just to kind of show you the difference between 8-200A and 8-200B, okay, when we're talking about our code rules. So the question says we have a single dwelling that has the following inside dimensions with 120 volt, 200 volts, 240 volt single phase service. Our main floor is 9 meters by 12, second floor 10 by 12, and the basement is 9 by 12. So if you look in the first part of that portion of the rule for 8.1.10, it says we're going to take 100% of the area of the ground floor, 100% of any areas above the ground floor, and 75% of the basement. So the first thing we're going to do is find out what these totals are. So this is 108 meters squared. This is 120 meters squared, and this is 108 meters squared. Now again, this is the basement, so we're going to times this by 75%. So 108, and we get 81 meters squared. Okay, so we're going to total these up. So 108, 120, and 81, and we should get 309 meters squared. Okay, again, we're taking 75% of the basement because they all say that 25% isn't living area based on furnace room and that kind of stuff. So first part we're going to talk about in regards to the wattage is the basic load of 5,000 watts for the first 90 meters squared of living area, then an additional 1,000 watts for each 90 meters squared or portion thereof. Okay, so we got 309, so for the first 90 meters squared, we're going to give it 5,000 watts. For the next 90, so now we're at 180, we got 1,000. Then for the next 90, another 1,000. And then the portion thereof, so we're going to have 39 meters left, but it gets 1,000 watts as well. Okay, so we total those up, we get 8,000 watts based on the square footage. Okay, that's going to be our demand based on the square footage. Now the next thing we talk about is the electric range. So it says provided for as follows: 6,000 watts for a single range plus 40% of any amount by which the rating of the range exceeds 12,000 kilowatts, or sorry, 12,000 kilowatts or 12,000 watts. So what that basically means is for the first 12,000 watts, we're going to give it 6,000 towards the calculation. Now everything above and beyond, so in this case we got another 2,500 watts, we're going to put that in at 40%. So we're going to times that by 40%. And we get 1,000 watts. So then we take 6,000 plus 1,000, we total that, and we get 7,000 watts. That's going for our range. Okay. Now swimming pool heater, we'll look and see if it has a specific rule, and it does here. Number 5, any tankless water heaters for swimming pools, hot tubs, spas, add a demand of 100%. Okay, so we're not going to derate this at all. It's going to go into the calculation at 3,000 watts. Okay, now we're going to get into our additional loads. Okay, these guys are additional. We got a kiln, a dryer, and a carburetor. Now any additional loads are basically just ones that aren't specifically laid out in the rules above. Then it talks about here in Rule 7. Any loads provided for that have a rating in excess of 1,500 watts in addition, so our additional loads to those outlined in 1 through 6, okay, up here, at 25% of the rating of each load if a range has been provided for. Okay, there's another rule if there isn't, but we have a range in this one, so these guys are going to go in at 25%. Okay, for every load above 1,500. So this one's at 1,500, this would be at 2,250, this is 2,500. Now, this is not in excess of 1,500, so we don't even worry about it. Okay, but we'll take this one at 40% and this one at 40%. So what I like to do is just take 2,500 plus 2,250, and I just total these up and get 4,750, and I'm going to times that at 25%, and I get 1,187.5 watts. Okay, that's our additional load. Okay, so now we're going to add all these up. So I'm going to take that number I just calculated plus 3,000 plus 7,000 plus 8,000, and I get a total wattage, again this is for part A, of 19,187.5 watts. Okay, so this is for part A. Again, this part A is all of these rules, okay? All these calculations, so part A right there. Now it says part B, 24,000 watts where the floor area, exclusive the basement floor area, is 80 meters or more. So for part B, we're going to look at our floor area. Well, between our main and our second, are we above 80? For sure we are in this question. Okay, so that means for B, we're going to get a default of 24,000 watts. Okay, if we take that divided by the 240 volt supply, okay, from this here, the single phase supply, we'll get 100 amps. Okay, this is our minimum. This is the answer because based on part B, it's the larger of the two of these. Okay, and it says that here. The calculated load for the service or feeder supplying the single dwelling shall be based on the greater of A or B. Okay, so we're comparing A here and B. So we're going to use the greater. So just to see what this amperage is too, we'll find that out. And it's 79.9 amps. Okay, so obviously when we look at the current, this one is larger. So the answer to this question would be part B, or a minimum ampacity would be 100 amps. Okay, so it's all based on the square footage, and what that kind of is just saying is that whenever we have a house of this square footage, even if the additional loads are not known, we're going to give it a large enough service to potentially cover additional loads that could be there. Okay, so that's an example right out of Blackboard. It should get you through the first couple calculations. Let me know if you have any other questions. So.